You know that feeling, right? You've got a script, it works perfectly when you run it in your terminal, but then you stick it in an automated system like cron, and suddenly it just fails. It's a classic, frustrating Linux mystery, and today we're going to solve it.
And this is the message you get, that dreaded command not found. But you know the command is there. You literally just used it. It almost feels like the system is trying to gaslight you. You run it right there in your terminal, works like a charm. The automation kicks in, and poof, nothing. It's a super common problem, and trust me, it can be maddening.
So what's going on here? Why do commands just seem to vanish into thin air? Well, the answer is hidden in this kind of invisible world of the shell environment. So let's peel back those layers and finally get to the bottom of this thing.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with the mystery itself. Then we'll dive into the shell's environment to hunt for clues. We're going to talk about the big difference between login and non-login shells, show you how to set your path, and then, finally, put it all together to fix those pesky automated scripts.
All right, let's get into it. We've all said it, right? The famous last words of every developer. But it works on my machine. And it's more than just a meme. It's actually a symptom of a really common misunderstanding about how Linux shells actually find and run programs.
The key to cracking this case is understanding something called environment variables. Think of them as the hidden settings that define the whole context, the environment, where all your commands and scripts are actually running. So what is an environment variable really? At its core, it's just a simple key-value pair. Like path equals /usr/bin/bin. It's a set of instructions that tells your shell important stuff, like where to find programs. They're basically the invisible strings that pull the levers on how your system behaves.
And the thing is, you're using these all the time, maybe without even realizing it. Home, that points to your home directory. User, well, that's your username. UID is your numeric user ID. But for the mystery we're trying to solve, the big one, the most important clue, is that path variable.
You should actually try this right now if you have a terminal open. Just type echo $path. What you'll see is this long string of directories, all separated by colons. Now that's not just some random list of text. It's basically a treasure map that your shell follows to find every single command you try to run.
And the logic here is actually super straightforward. When you type a command, the shell has no idea where it is. It's not magic. It just systematically goes through each directory in your path, one by one, in order, looking for that program. If it gets to the end of the list and comes up empty, that's when it gives up and tells you, command not found.
Yeah, this lays it out perfectly. Let's say you type my app. The shell grabs your path. First stop, /usr/bin. Is it there? Nope. Okay, next up, /bin, anything? Still no. Finally, it checks /usr/localbin, and bingo! It found it. The search is over and it runs the program. The second it finds a match, it stops looking.
Okay, so if path is the map, why does our automated script have a totally different map? Well, this is the plot twist. It turns out not all shells are created equal. And depending on how a shell starts up, it reads completely different configuration files, which means it gets a completely different path.
And here is the crucial difference. First, you have a login shell. This is the very first shell you get when you log in fresh, like through SSH or at the actual console. It reads system settings from /etc/profile and then your personal ones from something like ./bash profile. Then you have an interactive non-login shell. This is any new terminal you open up after you're already logged in. And that one, it just reads ./bashrc. See? Different shells, different startup files, which leads to, you guessed it, different environments.
And this is the final piece of the puzzle. Automation tools, things like cron or systemd, they run your scripts in what's called a non-interactive shell. It's not connected to a person at a terminal, so it doesn't bother loading any of your usual startup files. It just starts up with a super minimal, bare-bones default environment. And that's why your custom path setting is gone, and with it, your command.
All right, so now we get it. We know why it's happening. So let's talk about how to fix it. If we take control of our path, we can make sure our scripts run the same way every time, no matter what environment they're in.
So this is the magic command right here. Export path is how you set the variable. The $path part is super important. That keeps all the directories that were already there. Then you just add a colon and tack on your new directory at the end. And that export word, that's the key. It makes sure this new path is passed down to any other programs or scripts you run from that shell.
Okay, so where does this line actually go? Well, if you need that setting every single time you open a new terminal, your .bashrc file is the place to be. If it's something that really only needs to be set once, right when you log in, then .bash profile is a better spot. And hey, here's a pro tip. A lot of systems are actually set up to automatically load .bashrc from inside .bash profile, which is kind of handy because it keeps everything consistent.
Okay, let's bring it all home now. Time to solve the mystery of that failing automated script for good.
So just to recap the problem, our automation tools like cron or a CI/CD pipeline are often their own little non-interactive world. They don't get the nice, customized path that our normal terminal has. Nope, they get a bare-bones, default path that, chances are, has no idea where our special script lives.
So here are 3 solid ways to fix this. First, a lot of tools, cron is a good example, will just let you set the path right in their own configuration file. Easy enough. Second, probably the simplest and most bulletproof solution, is to just use the full absolute path to your command. That way you're not even relying on the path variable at all. And third, you can actually tell your script to load an environment for itself by using the source command to pull in a profile file.
So let's wrap up with the key takeaways. Remember, the path variable is your shell's roadmap for finding commands. Different kinds of shells, login, non-login, they all get different roadmaps. And those automation tools, they get the most basic, stripped-down map of all. So the next time you see command not found, the very first question to ask yourself is, what kind of shell is this running in? That's almost always where you'll find your answer.
So we've cracked the case of the path, but it's just one of many, many environment variables, which kind of leaves us with a final thought. Now that you know to look for these invisible settings, what other things could be shaping your system's behavior without you even realizing it? Variables for language or for shared libraries? The environment is just packed with these little clues, just waiting for you to find them.